Hello! Yes, and welcome to our Objective 4.6 sample problems, where we're going to practice simplifying operations with imaginary numbers. So, to get started today, we're just going to do some simplifying radicals. So, looking at the square root of negative 192, we know we're going to have the square root of negative 1. That's our I. 192, let's see. That'd be 64 times 3, I believe. 60 times 3 is 180, 4 times 3 is 12, yes. So I would get I times 8 times the square root of 3. So we end up with 8I root 3. There we go. The square root of negative 25, this one's easy. This one would just be 5I, right? Think of it as the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 25. 5I. All right, now the square root of negative 216 minus the square root of negative 6. So negative 216, we should know that that is 6 to the third. So that means we're going to have the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 36 times the square root of 6, which would become 6I root 6, right? 6I, and then root 6. And then we're going to subtract the square root of negative 6, which would just be I root 6. Now, since our I and radical is the same, we can actually do the subtraction. Think of this as 1I root 6. So we'd end up with 5I root 6. And that would be our simplified form there. All right. Now, let's look at some expressions that we can simplify. So if we're adding, remember we just add our real numbers. So 7 plus 9 is 16. And our imaginary, negative 5 plus negative 3 would be negative 8I. And that's as far as I can go. I shouldn't divide even though there's a GCF. Don't do that. Just keep it like this. If we're subtracting, remember we subtract the real. 4 minus 2 is 2. And then the imaginary, 9I minus negative 5. So that'll become addition. So 9I plus 5I will become 14I. There we go. If we multiply, remember we got to distribute, of course. So looking at number 6 here, negative 2 times 1 would be negative 2. Negative 2 times 3i would be negative 6i. Negative 4i times 1 would be negative 4i. And negative 4i times 3i would be negative 12i squared. Now, of course, the key here, remember that I squared equals negative 1. So when I combine some terms here, I had negative 2 minus 10i minus 12 times negative 1. So negative 12 times negative 1 would become positive 12. So I have negative 2 plus 12 minus 10i. And that gives me 10 minus 10i. Voila. All right. Now remember, if we are multiplying a binomial by itself, if we're squaring it, we need to write it as two binomials so we remember to distribute everything. All right. So 7 times 7. 49, 3i times 7 would become 21i. We're going to have 2 of those. And then 3i times 3i would be 9i squared. So 49 plus 42i plus 9 times negative 1. So that will become negative 9. All right, so we'll have 49 minus 9 plus 42i. And when I do that, I'll get 40 plus 42i. Voila. Very good. All right. For 8 and 9, it's kind of a combination of everything we've been through so far. So 8 plus I, we're going to multiply that out since it's being squared. Plus, and then we have some subtraction going on here. So negative 8 minus 2 would be negative 10. Negative 8 minus negative 5, so that'll be negative 8i plus 5i. That will become negative 3i. So we'll save that kind of till the end. Let's do this multiplication. We'll have 64 plus 8i plus 8i plus I squared plus negative 10 minus 3i. So combine our like terms here. We have 64 plus 16i plus negative 1. So that will become minus 1 minus 10 minus 3i. So we're going to end up 64 minus 1. Oh my goodness, what is this? There we go. Sorry. 64 minus 1 is 63. Minus 10 is 53. 16i minus 3i will become 13i. And that would be our solution for that one. Now looking at number 9, we got a lot going on here. I see this multiplication. We'll definitely do that, this multiplication over here, but let's organize these first few terms here. So negative 2 minus negative 4. Remember, just look at the reals to start. Negative 2 minus negative 4, that becomes plus 4. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2. 7i minus negative 6i, so 7i plus 6i will become 13i. Plus, and then let's multiply this all out here. So we have 8 times negative 7, so that'd be negative 56. We have 8 times 3i, so that'll be 24i. We have 7i times negative 7, so negative 49i. 7i times 3i becomes 21i squared. All right, let's combine some terms here. So 2 plus 13i, negative minus 56. 24i minus 49i would become 25i, negative 25i, plus 21 times negative 1. So 2 minus 56 is negative 54. 13i minus 25i will be negative 12i. And then I have minus 21. Negative 54 minus 21, right? We're just looking at our reals here. Negative 54 minus 21 would become negative 75 minus 12i. And there we go. All right, hopefully we're feeling a little more confident with these operations involving imaginary numbers. Definitely get started on those practice problems, see how we do. Be sure to check your answers. Make sure everything looks good. This is Mr. Carter signing off. I'll see you next time.